Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to Sneaker Stories. As always, I'm your host Chris Jack. Today, another brand new Yeezy silhouette from Kayne and Adidas. This time, it's none other than the 700 V3 Azael. It's an absolutely beautiful shoe. Super stoked to have in hand. Without further ado, let's check it out. Alright, so as you guys probably know, and as you guys have probably felt yourself, everyone's got a little bit tired of seeing 100 million 350 V2 colorways dropping and nothing really new from Adidas. But if you watched yesterday's review on the 380 Alien right here, it was really a breath of fresh air to start talking about something that just wasn't a 350 V2. And now we've got two of them right here, which are the two brand new silhouettes from Adidas and Kayne West. Obviously there are some more still coming, but just my initial thoughts on this pair. You know, I first obviously saw them on the leaked online pictures. Then we saw Kanye gifting a pair off his feet to DJ Khaled, just like baller vibes in between private jets and stuff. Really crazy, and I really loved the look of these. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but for me, I'm absolutely loving them. Let me know what your thoughts are of the 700 V3 Azael in the comments below. Now, before I get into the review itself, I just want to talk about the naming of the shoe, and I'm not talking about the Hebrew word Azael, if I'm pronouncing that right, which by the way means made by God or made of God, something like that. So kind of just on this whole sort of biblical trip that Kanye has been on recently with the naming of different shoes, a lot of Hebrew influences in there as well in terms of the naming at least. But you know, this came out as a 700 V3, and just to show you the box quickly, you've just got a standard 700 box with 700 branding on the top, nothing on that side, nothing on that side, and then the standard Yeezy 700 made by Adidas with a performance logo on that side. Now, there's no boost on this, obviously, because there's no boost in this particular shoe, but we'll talk about that later. But what I'm really trying to get at right here is yesterday we saw the 380 Alien, and as I mentioned in that review, this was originally a 350 V3. However, it did see a complete redesign in the midsole and upper and pretty much everything on the shoe itself, and then they decided to call it a 380 and get it its own naming right per se. So why didn't that happen with this pair? Because this is a complete redesign of the 700, and if I just show you these like side by side, I mean, it's completely different. I get that the overall shape of the shoe is kind of similar, but I can really understand the difference of V1 and V2 when you compare these two side by side. They've got the same midsole, slight changes to the upper on it. V1, V2 really works well with this particular iteration. However, on the 700 V3, I really think it deserved its own name. I don't know, I just want to get that out there because this is completely different. Like, everything has been changed on the shoe. The midsole, the materials, the upper, the construction, just everything has been changed. But I don't know, that might just be me. Let me know what you think this should have been called in the comments below. But onto the shoe itself, and I've got to start with this crazy midsole. This has been completely re-engineered. One of the more beautifully sculpted shoes I have ever seen. They are super futuristic in hand and just a lot better than the photos actually do. Most of the photos you kind of see of these are just from the side on, where I don't think that they look anywhere near as good as they do in hand. When you start to move the shoe around and see the real detailing and sculpted vibes that are going on in the midsole and in the upper of the shoe, they really do look alive. So just taking a look at the outsole of the shoe, this has been completely retooled here. You've got a herringbone traction pattern that's basically done in this blue wavy rubber pattern all the way up the outsole of the shoe, and then just under that you'll notice these hits of blue. Now obviously this shoe does not have boost, it's not a boost product, and that comes with pros and cons. Obviously the cons of this, it's not as comfortable as what you'd get on a 700 V1 or V2 or anything with boost for that matter, and that's to be expected. However, this is a polyurethane EVA midsole, which is not necessarily uncomfortable by any means either, especially with the construction of this particular shoe. But the pros of not having boost in the shoe are massive. This shoe came in at $100 cheaper than what the usual 700 V1 and V2 silhouettes would have cost you, so that's coming at the same price point at what the Yeezy 500 would be. Now, these haven't released locally here in South Africa or most territories around the world, at least as far as yet. They have only seen a release in the US and Europe at the moment, but I would estimate this shoe here in South Africa to retail for the same price point as the Yeezy 500. Now, that's not confirmed, that's just my thoughts. If it's the same dollar value for 500s and 700 V3s at $200, so we should see a similar price curve here in South Africa itself or wherever you guys are watching from. I would think it's the same as the 500s itself. So that's a massive plus for this, because let's face it, 5,000 Rand or $300 for a pair of 700s is kind of, you know, with all the colorways that have come out on that, it's just kind of died a little bit. You know, we've seen a lot more of these things sitting on shelf. But the midsole coloring over here is done in this sort of creamy white color. It's really, really nice in hand. The shaping of it, it's so difficult to show you guys. I think I just have to show you from that angle and then kind of just move it around slowly. And you can really see the midsole shaping on the medial side there. It's just incredible in hand. Now to touch, it is a polyurethane as far as I'm aware, so it's quite hard. It's a little bit squishy if you push it, but it's more just like a midsole shell housing the EVA material inside, which is giving you the cushioning on this pair. In the heel section of the shoe, you'll notice it slants up. It's very, very similar to what you've got in the Alien pair over here. I'll just hold both of them up for you just like that. And now this has already increased comfortability on the Alien pair and definitely has done the same with the 700 V3. It does have an Adidas Performance logo, which has been embossed on here, and that is on both of the shoes that you'll see right there. Moving to the upper of the shoe, this is where things are really, really exciting on this pair. The base layer of this, as you guys will probably see from the camera, is what they're calling monofilament engineered mesh, and that's basically just a very thin layer of mesh which makes up the base layer of the entire upper sections, at least on the lateral and the medial side of the shoe. You do have some striping detail that's done here, which is just adding that Yeezy kind of effect to it, which is being woven into that mesh, and that basically runs under this sort of skeleton looking cage that's wrapping both sides of the shoe. And the material they've used here to create this structure, which is basically giving shape to the top of the shoe, is what they're calling RPU, which as far as I understand is rigid polyurethane. It's very, very soft to the touch. It's kind of a mix between plastic and rubber. It's very, very thin in certain places here. It looks like it's kind of been pasted onto this upper mesh material, at least on the sides of the shoe. The nice thing about this is that it glows in the dark. I mean, that just looks super awesome. It's something that I thought that they missed out on the 380 Alien, because these also look pretty alien-esque to me. And moving towards the toe box of the shoe, you'll notice this is no longer a suede overlay patch there. They've changed that up to a more durable rubber. It looks really, really nice on this pair of shoes. It's got a nice little linear texture to that. And then set just behind that, below the lacing system and forming up the base of the tongue, you do have a neoprene material here, which basically wraps itself up and then changes to a mesh towards this top of the tongue section. Now, it's not a standalone tongue on the 700 V3. It's quite booty-like, at least the top of the booty that's been sewn into the upper. It is really, really nice looking. I think this is one of my favorite features on the shoe, just the juxtaposition between this dark sort of black and the lighter colors and texture on the outside. Now, just down at the bottom, you'll notice 2 hits of 3M reflective material there, so you're just getting a little bit of reflection under flash and certain lights. The laces here are standard flat black. One thing that they have changed is they've dipped the ends in sort of a rubberized material here, which gives it a really, really nice finish on this particular pair. Moving further into the heel collar section of the shoe, as mentioned, this is a booty construction here, so it's a little bit difficult to get into because it's not very, very stretchy there, and you don't have a standalone tongue to be able to pull forward to get your foot in quite easily. That said, I haven't really had a problem getting my foot in. It was just a little tight in the beginning to really pull that apart. Now, inside on the sock liner section, they have used the neoprene material, so that's really, really comfortable and soft like on your ankle of the shoe. And then just pulling the insole out, this is an Ortholite insole. You do have the Ortholite logo, Yeezy, and a performance logo done in the heel section on this plain black overlay, and that's just the other side of it, which has got these different density points, providing a more comfortable ride on foot. And speaking about comfortability, these are actually pretty comfortable on foot. They were a lot better than I was expecting without boost. It's something that you don't really notice. That said, I haven't worn them for an extended period of time at all yet, so just a disclaimer on that, but I do believe that they actually are very, very comfortable as well. So really nice to be able to have a shoe that's a little bit more affordable, at least if it's coming in at $200 instead of $300, and also just providing you with this super futuristic look on foot, which is something I personally love about these. Now, from a sizing perspective, as you guys know, with Yeezys, things can be a little bit left or right depending on which way the silhouette goes. This particular pair definitely runs a half size small, so at true to size, which is my UK 9, they were just going to be too small for me. I was recommended to take a half size up in these, and I did, and they fit absolutely perfect. From what I've seen, if you do take your true to size in this particular pair and do have a wider foot, they are going to be too tight for you. However, if you have a very narrow foot and do prefer a very snug fit, then maybe true to size could work for you, but I would 100% recommend taking a half size up in the 700 V3. Now, from an availability perspective, these did not release here in South Africa as of yet. They only saw a release in the States and Europe so far. It's a shoe that I do think will come here to South Africa and the rest of the territories around the world that generally get Yeezys eventually. There's just no telling when and what colorway it'll be. Quite similar to what I said about the 380 Aliens yesterday. So hold thumbs if you are wanting to get a pair of these, and maybe just sit tight for a while before shelling major resale out on this particular pair. But that's it for this review of the 700 V3 Azael. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you do have any further questions, please drop them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. But that's pretty much it for this review. Please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do that now. But that's it from me. I'll catch you on the next one.